Oh man. All right, yeah, let's talk about Bone Lake. Right? Oh man, that's a new horror movie that came out, right? And I mean, it was marketed as a horror movie, a slasher of sorts. It seemed interesting, right? It seemed like it was gonna have some nudity. It's always good to have nudity in your horror film, so why not? It's in a lake and there's some chick drowning somebody, some succubuses out here. I don't know. I'm ready. Let's check it out, right? Oh my gosh, this movie was so gnarly. It wasn't scary. It had its thrilling moments. It definitely had you on on your toes at some scenes, but like man, it was just a trip all the way around. Because the Bone Lake follows these characters, Diego and Sage, right? And so Sage she just quit her job or like took a demotion in her job because her husband or her boyfriend Diego, they've been together almost 8 years or something, and he's gonna be a writer now. He's gonna be a novelist, but he's never written before, so she's unsure, and it's kind of put a little fracture in their relationship. But they're doing this Airbnb to relax for the weekend before he goes and starts working on, I guess, the novel full time or whatever. I forget, but they go to this lavish Airbnb, fully furnished, this mansion, awesome. They're gonna stay the weekend here, and then as they're getting it on, right, all of a sudden this other couple shows up, Will and Sin, and that's with a C, not an S, and they show up, and apparently they also double booked. They also booked this place, and it turns out it's like who would have thought, right? It's never a bad thing when people double book, but again, so now they're both here, and they both agree that we'll just share the mansion. It's big enough, we'll have it as a little friend party thing, because they're, Will and Sin are significantly younger, it would seem, so they're just like, oh, we'll just have a good time, and it'll be fun. If it's awkward, one of us will leave. So they're only there for like 3 nights, and by the second night, things are getting a little weird. Sin is like kind of like coming on to Diego, and it turns out like Sage she's almost falling out of love with Diego, but she really does love him and trust him, and so it seems like Will and Sin are trying to like manipulate them in a sense, right, to get them to be at each other's throats and to think that they can't trust each other, that one of them is cheating on one another. And it's this whole like ridiculous little play that Will and Sin do on them, and it does suck. It's very unfortunate, but that's really where the horror lies. It just makes this couple, they literally drive this couple insane. And so the film actually starts out with this other couple running butt ass naked, right? So I mean, it is pretty funny because yes, there is nudity in the film. In the very beginning, the first 5 seconds, you see like a guy get an arrow through the nutsack. It's pretty crazy, but they end up being hunted and killed, and so now you're assuming that this is who did it, Will and Sin. So they end up messing with this couple, right? There's a scene where Diego ends up telling Will that he's going to propose to Sage, and Will not only steals Diego's ring, but then uses it to propose to Sin, and makes up this whole elaborate lie of how like he wanted to show her he loved her, and that don't worry, I know I messed up and I know I stole it, but I'll give it back. And it's just like, what the shit? Like, you don't just steal someone's ring like that. Like, that's so disrespectful. But there's a lot of random scenes like that where they're just toying with this couple and just making them turn against each other and feel alienated by each other, and it's really sad, honestly. So the big reveal happens, right, where they try to Diego and Sage realize that the house is bugged. It's got cameras everywhere. They've been being watched by Will and Sin. It is Will and Sin's house. They try to leave, and then Will and Sin end up like pretty much knocking them out. It's pretty brutal. Sin crashes into them with her car. It's pretty outrageous. But then they reveal the little backstory where it turns out that Will and Sin are actually brother and sister, and that is in fact their house, right? They lived there with their parents, apparently, had a rich family or whatever, but their parents homeschooled them, I'm assuming, and just kept them at home and didn't let them interact with the outside world. So over the years, they loved each other. Their family bond turned into friendship, which turned into a relationship, and then it turns out they like slept together in their teens. The parents, of course, freak out, tell them it's not, that's not right, it's sinful, or whatever it is, and then they do it again, and then I guess the father ends up beating the brother, right, ends up beating the sister eventually because they won't stop. The mom probably goes crazy, and because she realizes that her kids won't stop having sex, and then they end up then just killing the parents because they've just had enough, and they're like, we're going to prove our love to the world. So now they invite they put their mansion up on Airbnb, and whenever couples come over, for the longest time now, for years, they've been luring these couples, and then they try to see if they can destroy in a weekend what people build up weeks, months, years, the love and trust and bond that people make, when they do fall in love. They're trying to prove that their love is stronger because they've been through everything. They've murdered so many people and their parents, where they're showing that their love is actually true and strong. And it's just outrageous. So Diego and Sage have to stop them and put an end to this nightmarish ancestry. And yeah, it's pretty wild. It's a great movie in a sense where it's just, how the hell did it get made, right? Like it's pretty out there. So I mean, I applaud director Mercedes Bryce Morgan. This is like her third film, technically, like probably like her first big theatrical release. But both movies deal with like sexual trauma and abuse and stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting. She's definitely got a knack for this stuff. And it's just, I mean, I guess it makes sense that a female directed this movie, because if a guy would have directed it, it would have just, I don't know, people would have been like, what's wrong with you? Like, this is a sick plot. This is horrible. We can't make this. But I mean, she made it, and it was definitely interesting. I would suggest to watch it or not, but it was a fun watch for sure. I just wasn't expecting any of that. Oh, wow. But yeah, and apparently I guess they call it Bone Lake because there's all these dead bodies and cars in the lake that they push in there and throw in there. So fuck it. Bone Lake. Check it out. Like, share, and subscribe. Man, horror movies are getting wild. I'm so excited for Good Boy with the little dog. I'm excited. That we'll see how good or bad that could be. But we're barking up that tree. But until then, thank you again for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.